in Slovakia, and now its fifth outing, the Hungaroring. 4 races this weekend, 2 this afternoon here in really warm and slightly humid conditions. 4.381 kilometre track, 14 turns and lots of little park turns in between, certainly enough to keep the drivers on their toes, and the flags have been waving around the circuit particularly vigorously today because the driver on pole, Norbert Kies, their hero, champion before in the European Truck Racing Championship in 2014 and 2015, change of team left him only 5th last year, but he's right back on form. His season has been getting sweeter and sweeter, and he took pole position just before lunch by 0.8 of a second. The next 3 trucks, Jochen Hahn, Stephanie Harm and Adam Lachko, covered by the blink of an eye. A tenth of a second covers all 3 of them. But there is the number 24 Mercedes on pole position, the first of the 4 races. The paddock absolutely crammed. More trucks, truck fans, truck owners, potential truck owners than you can wave a stick at, and they're almost all waving the Hungarian flag. So that driver up on board the silver and red Mercedes there, Norbert Kies, really coming on strong. He took no wins, lots of second places until the last round, Slovakia ring, where he picked up 2 wins, and I'm sure that's added quite a few to the crowd here on what is a very hot and sunny summer's day. As you can see, those in the main grandstand thankfully sitting in the shade watching the action across at the pits, and you can see the track drops down to turn 1 on the outskirts of Budapest in the background. But we have a gaggle of trucks down there, 16 trucks. These weigh 5.5 tons near enough. They push out over 1,000 horsepower, but the figure that really gets me, 5,000 newton meters of torque. And that's why these cars accelerate as fast as a Porsche 911, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Jochen Hahn, many-time champion in 2011, 2012, 2013, and number 1's on the side. He was last year's champion, so he is right at the sharp end, outside of the front row, in his Die Bullen von Iveco Magirus, that is the team name. But he's sitting aboard this mighty truck, and the way they corner is phenomenal. In qualifying in particular, Norbert Kies was an absolute star in that. He was using the curbs, getting the tail out on these trucks. 44, Steffi Harm started started in single seaters, moves across to trucks. She's looking for a hat trick here at the Hungaroring. She won took her first ever victory in this championship here 24 months ago, took another win last year here, and is hoping for a hat trick this afternoon. Steffi Harm, 44, so she's 0.873 of a second off the ultimate pace. And from the Czech Republic, outside of the second row, Adam Lachko in his Bulgaria International Racing Systems Freightliner. You can see that with a great big prow on it. And Adam has actually used to race Lamborghinis not so long ago, but he moved to trucks in 2010. He's been runner-up twice and desperately wants to improve on his 2015-2016 results. 23 behind, another driver with a single-seater background all the way to go. Early 90s he was racing single-seaters, but Antonio Alberthetti left it late and got himself right into the mix. 1.25 seconds down on the pace in his MAN truck. And if you look over the history of European Truck Racing Championship, it's Mercedes and MAN that seem to be up the front end. Good to have Iveco in the mix as well, including the Bulgaria team putting the Freightliner. 17, that is British racer Shane Brereton making his championship debut for this year, sitting aboard. Going well, brought his family out to watch the event, and he came on very strong right at the end of the Super Pole, in which the top 10 runners go out to shoot out. Made his championship debut overall last year. 33 back on row 4, David Vrsecki, another Czech racer. He was champion in the series in 2008-2009, and he's also racing a Freightliner like Adam Lachko, his compatriot. Nothing like the cockpit of a regular truck, but these are very, very different. Half the weight, twice the horsepower. What a potent combination. There you can see the rear of the grid. Number 19, Dominic Orsini. And British racer looking for 88. 88 doesn't appear. Yes, he did. He's moved up position. Number 15 has gone back a place or two onto the back row of the grid. So absolutely packed. Soon the grid will start to clear. In fact, people are being asked to leave already. Then you get to see the trucks in all their beauty. Sasha Lentz looks so he's coming on strong at the end of practice. Go behind the MAN filter girls. He's got MAN filter topping over the roof of his MAN truck. One of the hobbies in the paddock seems to be to gather as many flags, promotional flags, as possible. Some children seem staggering away under the weight of all they've gathered. Jose Rodriguez and his father Eduardo both competing here. Eduardo will be a bit further back, but Jose has been racing trucks for 10 years now, 11 years. 2007 he made his debut. In the last couple of years he's also been racing in the TCR Touring Car Series, so he's got plenty of diversity. Loud music down on the grid, I can even hear it in my commentary position through the window, so plenty of razzmatazz around the truck racing. Couldn't be more different. The cars the Blancpain GT Series have brought for the GT Sprint Cup and the GT Drivers Club, and the trucks, but no problem at all with the cross-pollination of the two. A big crowd here in wonderful summer sunshine at the Hungaroring, but now as the people move off the grid, starting to see these trucks for what they are, hugely powerful vehicles, but it's only when you get them accelerating off the line, but more to the point, negotiating the chicane, tyres smoking away, the trucks really getting to quite an angle. You realise these are very specialised machines, and certainly set to entertain. Now, can anyone do about Norbert Kish? It'd be almost a shame to topple him on home ground, but the three trucks in particular behind of Jochen Hahn, Stephanie Harm and Adam Lechko are very much determined to do just that. They'll be thinking, sorry Norbert, we have 4 races here and you can't take all the wins. So they've got to see what they can do. And you can be sure that turn 1, such a tricky corner when they get there in single-seaters, but to get there in a truck, your options, these are much, much bigger beasts, are going to be somewhat limited. But don't forget, effectively, it's a double apex corner with a quick kink on the exit, and if they're side by side going through the exit of turn 1, as they start dropping down to turn 2, you can be guaranteed fireworks when they get to turn 2, the double downhill left-hander. We saw the poleman, Norbert Kish, trying to improve on his pole lap, and he went right off the circuit there, over the green painted area outside the curbs, managed to haul it back down, but certainly the cameraman at that position must have been thinking, good grief, someone is coming to meet me. But huge crowds here at the Hungaroring, and I think we're going to have some fantastic racing. Each of the truck races here, the European Truck Racing Championship, half an hour in duration, and we're going to be underway very soon indeed. Good to see the trucks, good to see the crowds. They are being separated because a serious matter. The formation lap will start in 5 minutes' time. I can see some people running back out onto the grid, possibly with late messages or fixes to the driver. Someone running over to the truck in about 8th place, which should be Sasha Lenz. Yes, it is. It's the one with the yellow roof, the man filter roof, on the largely red and yellow truck. But there on the left with the mailer message on its screen is poleman Norbert Kish alongside Jochen Hahn, and then you move back to Steffi Harm in the blue truck, Adam Lechko desperately chasing that title in the 55 truck on the outside of the second row. Yeah, Lechko had an absolute golden patch in the middle of the season. Oh, hold on, we're just going on to row 3. 23 is Antonio Albacete on the outside of the row. Shane Brereton, British racer. Row 4, David Brasecki and Sasha Lenz, the red and white truck with the yellow roof. Another man is Jose Rodriguez on the outside of row 5. He is in truck 14. And then Gerhard Korber, or Gert Korber for short, alongside in row 5. Filter on down to the back, riding on the Segway. 42, Andrei Kursim, František Wojciech on the outside of that row. Then it should be number 11, so it is, the blue and yellow truck to match his sons, Eduardo Rodriguez. Ryan Smith in 88, Dominic Orsini in 19, and truck number 15 bringing up the rear of the grid. So there we have it. Now we're waiting for the trucks to take off. But just to bring you up to speed, I started talking about Adam Lechko. He just started winning when he got to the second round. Won the first of the 4 races to Misano, third in the next one, and then he won the next 5 races in a row, 6 wins out of 7. No wonder his points tally is so good. But all eyes here, really, on the driver on pole position, Norbert Kish, Hungarian racer for Tank Pool 24 Racing. Lots of their fans out around the circuits. Lots of people going around with the Hungarian flag with the name Norbert written large upon it. Their air horns have been blaring. There's no doubting who is the favourite driver on the grid. He's in 24. No pressure at all, Norbert. It's only a home race. You've only got tens of thousands of people here to see you. So let's see how you fare. These are quick races, half an hour only. And obviously with 4 races on the agenda this weekend, 2 today, 2 tomorrow. You do not want to be going and damaging your truck. And just for point of reference, we start at 1400, so the race is over by 2:30 And the second truck race today starts at 5:20. So if you do any damage, not much time to get it back repaired and ready to go racing again. Waiting for the last few trucks to wind themselves up. And off they go on their formation lap. Plenty of smoke under acceleration. So the formation lap, always important. The track conditions would have changed. We had a massive driver parade while a lot of people were thinking about having some lunch. So Jochen Hahn, Norbert Kiesch on pole position. Jochen Hahn, multiple champion on the outside, the front row. Last year's champion, that's why he's got one on the door. Steffi Harm and Adam Lechko on row 2. Lechko in 55, you can see him going around turn 2 there. Antonio Albacete and Shane Brereton trying to make impact on the championship. Made his debut last year, 2016. David Versecki and Sasha Lentz. And then in behind you just see the Jose Rodriguez in blue and yellow 14 truck and Geert Korber in 27. Andrei Kursin just missed out on the Super Pole by being only 11th in qualifying. And František Wojciech. And we go on to Eduardo, father of Jose Rodriguez, Ryan Smith in 88, the final row, Dominic Orsini and Irvin Klein Nagelfort. So there are the 16 trucks. And wow, they make the safety vehicles look very small indeed as they go out around the circuit. One last sighter lap. You can see they're already starting to run around in 2x2 formation. Won't always work when they get to the chicanes. These are big vehicles. I don't need to tell you that. It's all about keeping it neat, keeping it tidy, not going too wide and putting dirt on your tyres, because they've got to keep their tyres clean for maximum acceleration away at the start of the race. The blast down to turn 1, as important in truck racing as it is in even racing for the smallest of racing cars that come out to play. So looking down among the middle of the order, just seen Frankie going through, just outside the top 10. Nearly 35 degrees, it has kept on going warmer. Track temperature 57 degrees. No wonder you need to keep your tyres super sweet. So the temperature rising inside the cockpits, no doubt rising inside the driver's helmets. The pace truck, about as tall as a double-decker bus. The fans waving their fans, if you will, to keep themselves cool in the shade of the main grandstand. Nearly 35 degrees air temperature, 57 degrees track temperature. So on the left of screen, poleman Norbert Kiesch. And on the right, as they took the turn along the top far side of the circuit, was the driver on the outside of the front row, multiple champion Jochen Hahn in number 1. Up to turn 13 they go. Pretty good 2x2 formation, it has to be said. And the pace truck peels off, so the pole starter will be sitting on the pit wall side. Now, one of the trucks we should look for is not just the man on pole, but look for Smith, Ryan Smith. He's down at the back of the grid, 14th position out of 16. Look for him coming through. Had plenty of pace, had some times taken away. But on the front row, it's Kiesch on the pit wall side. Hahn alongside Steffi Harm in the blue truck right behind. Good start from the outside of the front row. Looks to have the drag, and Steffi Harm all but pushing Norbert Kiesch down towards turn 1. They're trying to go 3 abreast into turn 1. Do I have a good feeling about this or not? It's going to come to blows. You have to feel sure of that. 3 abreast. I would not want to be in that camera position. I know he's shooting in. Looks as though poleman has just kept the position. Tail kicking out by Norbert Kiesch, but he holds off Hahn on the outside. But looks as though Steffi Harm coming through on the inside might get into second place. Has she? Yes, no, she hasn't. In third place, it's so close you couldn't see for a second. Jochen Hahn, who looks like he might have a dive up the inside. No, he doesn't, into turn 2, but 17 making a move. Very positive start for Shane Brereton, who started 6th up to 4th. He's deposed Adam Lechko. 33 had some bodywork damage to tail being kicked up there. That isn't a dream from David Versecki, veteran truck racer. So he's got bodywork damage. More damage down at the back. Is that Adam Lechko on the grass? It looks like it could be Lechko. Don't forget, he's supposed to be challenging for a win. He's got bodywork damage. He's losing position. Yes, it is him. 55, a lot of ground loss and potential bodywork damage. So Antonio Albacete in 23 taking a push to try and get back past number 17 Shane Brereton. But what a start. Up to bodywork coming off well, it could be anybody's truck. There's been so much nip and tuck around the first part of the lap. Through turns 6 and 7. Chicane? What chicane? It's just a bump in the road. No wonder they've removed some of the cones there. But poleman Norbert Kies says we'll be getting the flags flying around the back of the circuit. Good to see Adam Lechko, though he was put on the grass, is still in the mix, still running. There he is in 55. Can't see the damage on this side because it was on the other side of the truck where the bodywork rug as they came out of turn 3. But what we are seeing is Jochen Hahn is keeping Norbert Kies very, very honest indeed. I was looking to see how far up 88 has come. He's just behind 42, so he's gained several positions. But poor old David Vrasecki, that bodywork is looking a real problem, a real air brake, if you will. So it's Kies from Halm, from fourth place we know is Shane Brereton. But look, we said look for Ryan Smith, and he's making a move on 42. He's really trying to press his way. Andre Kursim will not be long staying ahead of 88, because certainly as they go around towards the end of the lap, going through turn 13, Smith is on a charge. But the horn's already going. They see the field coming around for the first time. It's a 30-minute race, lap 1 of 11, and it's local hero Norbert Kies leading by how much? By 0.662 of a second. Then Steffi Harm, Shane Brereton, Antonio Alberthetti, Adam Lechko lost positions, but he could have lost a whole lot more there. Sasha Lentz in 7th. And number 14 into 8th place, that's Jose Rodriguez. So they kept it relatively clean. They've kept it on the island, with the exception of Adam Lechko, who went bouncing across the grass just at the bottom of the run from turn 3 to turn 4. But leading the way, but not by much, it's Norbert Kies. He was 0.8 of a second clear. Ooh, big wide line there. Trouble turning in for Jochen Hahn in 2nd place. Steffi Hahn, or Steffi slightly further apart. Hahn and Hahn sound so close together in terms of their names, but Hahn got it back together on the exit of turn 2. Bit of overtaking, 42 and 88 still having a go at each other, but 88, Ryan Smith has made the move stick, so he goes up a position, and that should put him into 11th ahead of Andre Kursim. It's hard to explain just how quick these trucks are as they come up the rise towards the back side of the circuit. They've gone through turn 4, scarcely a lift. Don't forget their vantage point, very different from those driving in the GT3 races. They can see over the barriers as they approach turn 4. Such a quick corner, such a blind entry in a car. For a truck, better line of sight, but you're obviously going to feel a very different sensation sitting up so high in trucks that really do tilt over to one side. Well, to both sides, to be honest. Nose to tail action, but going 2 by 2 in the European Truck Racing Championship isn't the work of a moment. It's not easy. These are big beasties, and they're being driven absolutely flat. 17 now being Shane Brereton, just ahead of 23, Adam Lechko. We'll keep looking for 88 and Smith. He's coming up. He lost. You can see him jumping out of position. The bright yellow roof. He's the middle of that pack, just behind 33 with the flapping bodywork. With Ryan Smith, lost times for, unfortunately, going off the track limits. Eh? It happens in the GT3 cars, it happens in the truck. So the 88 truck, last time around, was up to 12th. But he got ahead of, he's now pushing 33, so he's pushing David Vrasecki for 10th place. Tucked up behind 33, Vrasecki will probably get him on the drag down to turn 1, but leading the way. Now he's doubled the lead from 0.66 of a second to 0.148 of a second. How much longer is that 33 going to keep that rear wheel arch, if that's indeed what it's called? There's the leader, Norbert Kies, down to turn 1. Seems very even, equal gaps, 1.4 seconds from first to second, 1.4 seconds from second to third. That's Hahn to Hahn. Then a bit of a larger gap, double it to 2.8 seconds back to Shane Brereton in the 17 truck, making really quite a splash here at the Hungaroring. Norbert Kies, Tank Pool 24 Racing, seems to have it all under control, but that's at the early stage of the race. How hard is he using his tyres relative to those giving chase? Fastest lap of the race, no surprise, is to our race leader. Here he comes again, up to turn 4. And crest at the point you want to turn in. Tucked in behind in 3rd place, Steffi Harm. 4 attempts here to make it a hat-trick at the Hungaroring. Scored her first championship win here in 2015, gathered another last year, looking for 3rd. There she is at the 44. Now Adam Lechko has got up the inside of Shane Brereton. Brereton in 17, just hanging on. Tucked in behind Antonio Alberthetti, who's only just ceded that 5th place to Adam Lechko. Hanging on the back of that grouping, but in terms of pure pace, we didn't see the pure pace from Brereton in qualifying. He was sick. Albert went a bit late in the session, only got up to 5th, but it was Adam Lechko does have the legs of them in terms of one lap pace, but he lost so much ground on the opening lap, getting pushed wide out of turn 3, pushed onto the grass at the bottom of the valley. Bodywork actually wasn't panic damage, it was just rubbing, seemed to pick up no damage from the tyres going across the grass off the circuit at the compression, and now really, really putting the pressure on Shane Brereton. Holding down 4th place, 4th, 5th and 6th, covered by absolutely next to nothing, and behind them is Sasha Lentz in 7th place. Tyre squeal, chatter, brakes, braking hard. Turn 13. Hoserfield's such a tricky corner in a nimble single-seater racing car. Not exactly any easier, as you'd imagine, in a great big racing truck. Adam Lechko tried the inside last time. He's trying the outside this time. Will he have a better exit from having taken a wider entry, but still leading? It was 1.4 seconds. It's nearly 1.6 seconds now between Norbert Kies leading the race for Hungary, in Hungary, ahead of Jochen Hahn and Steffi Harm. 2 seconds now back. Harm's starting to fall off the back. Yes, you can just see the truck, number 44 in 3rd place, just falling away from the tail of Jochen Hahn in 2nd. Jochen trying to do his absolute everything to chase after Norbert Kies. Down into turn 1, it's still Brereton in 4th place. Adam Lechko cannot get past in the Freightliner, the truck with the snout. There are 2 of them in the race, 55 and 33. The 33, David Secchi, is the one carrying the damage after that clash on the opening lap. Seventh place, Sasha Lentz. 8th place, Jose Rodriguez. They're hanging on in there, and they're all setting their fastest laps of the race as they're getting up to speed. These tyres take a little bit longer than they do on GT3 races. And 2 minutes, 18.988 seconds is the fastest so far. Antonio Albacete having a look back at Adam Lechko, who's lost a bit of ground to Shane Brereton. Maybe he made a move and it hasn't worked out, and he got offline accordingly. But as they go to the fiddly top part of the circuit on the far side of the valley from the pit and paddock, we're going to turn 6 and 7 now, the chicane. So Albacete is right on the tail of Lechko. Lechko has lost a little bit of ground to Shane Brereton. Shane Brereton actually set his fastest first sector in the first part of this lap. 27, 33, 88. 88 is still stuck behind 33 of David Versecki. Gert Kerber just up in front of them. You can see you've got to plan your move from a long way up, and here comes a move from a long way back. Great move, we said to look out for Smith, and he's making his way up the order. Ryan Smith has made that move stick. Don't know if it's a distraction or it is actually slowing it in a straight line, but now 33 is losing ground. Just been talking about Shane Brereton. This is only his 5th appearance in the championship. Made his debut last year. This is his first race this year in the European Championship. There he is in 17th, and this is by far his best performance. So good thing he brought his family over to watch him race here in Hungary, because he's going very well. Great big Kelsa sponsorship on the front. Now he's keeping Adam Lechko. Don't forget, Lechko was the driver who was setting the pace in the middle part of the season. So it just shows what an outstanding performance it is for Shane Brereton. And he's starting to take little chunks out of Steffi Harm. There's Harm through turn 1, then Brereton, who's got Lechko right on his tail. Albacete, red and white truck, in 6th place. 7th length, 8th Rodriguez, then Gert Korber, and Smith, as we saw, has got into the top 10. 10th place in truck number 88. But here's Brereton right behind. Here's Adam Lechko looking to see what he can do. Running a little bit wide there for Brereton. Is that a mistake? Yeah, but it is a mistake. But has he recovered to stay in 2nd place? Yes, 4th place. Yes, he has. But he can't afford to run any wider than that again, because look, Lechko right on his tail now. So having made that little advantage, got clear and started to head off after Steffi Harm. That little momentary mistake, braked just a tiny little bit too late into turn 2, made him go wide. He's got all the dirt on his tyres, but importantly, he stayed ahead. And position is everything in truck racing, because they don't leave that much of a space for a truck to go through from behind. They need a lot of space to go through. You can see Lechko at the moment has got the grip to take a much tighter line. How much of a risk, how much out of his tyres has Shane Brereton taken? Something came off, something. It might have been a bit of a taping off the curbing at turn 6 and 7, but Shane Brereton, I think, might have monstered his tyres a little bit too strongly too early in this race. I could well be wrong. There he is, holding down 4th place in truck number 17. Adam Lechko right behind. in 55, and Antonio Alberthetti enjoying the view from behind. Not quite got the performance to try and work his way past in the Duron-sponsored man. In fact, seemed to lose a little bit of ground out of the back part of the circuit there. So the battle between first and second, the gap is now 1.96 seconds. 1.96 seconds covers these trucks, 4th, 5th and 6th. In fact, you don't even need 1.9 seconds. Brereton, Lachko and Alberthetti, very close indeed. And then look at the next group, bunching up yet again. This time trying a wider line. Adam Lachko is looking for a quicker exit from the final corner by going in wider and sweeping around, staying off the curbs. Now, as Brereton ran wide, he took a tighter line in, not a wider line, and then he ends up, because of that, out on the curb. You can see the truck smoking as they accelerate flat out past the pitch. You can see Adam Lechko doing his everything, but he stays in 5th place for now. Certainly Steffi Harm is now not having to worry about a charge from Brereton behind her. She doesn't seem to have the answer to Jochen Hahn in front of her, and in turn he doesn't have the answer to Norbert Kiesch, who's now leading by 2.8 seconds. Having been very close to the first few laps, our race leader is pulling away. We're in the second half of the race. 5.5 laps completed. We're on lap 6 out of 11, as the graphic at the top of the screen tells you. Small surprise, we're keeping our eyes on what is happening in the Brereton battle, the Brereton-Lachko-Alberthetti battle. There is 3rd place, Steffi Harm. Then there's a gap. Not so long ago it was half that. Oh, Lachko is really getting super close through turn 4. He wasn't going to take an inside line, but he just is putting his truck where it's getting awkward. What he's seen is Brereton is starting to lose grip, is starting to run wide. Maybe Brereton's confident enough that Lachko can't get close enough to try and pass him, so he's affording himself the wide line. Ryan Smith charging. I don't think there's going to be space up into the chicane there, Ryan. Having a little look. Try and get past Gerd Corbett. Bouncing over the curbs in the background, and having passed David Vasecki, the 33 truck is staying right on his tail. 42, Andre Kursim, another German racer. Kicking out the dust, kicking out the dirt. When they go over the curbs, they certainly wrench more dust and dirt out of them. We already had a massive driver parade beforehand in trucks, so I don't know what's been dropped out on the circuit. I certainly feel the next cars out to play this afternoon might find the track a little bit different from the one they experienced this morning. It's the Blancpain GT Sports Club who come out for their qualifying at 2:45, and here at 2:15 the clock is ticking down and it's half-hour race. And we're just past the halfway point. And Ryan Smith in 88 is helping number 27 Gerd Kerber around in front of him. That battle for 4th is staying the same, but if anything, Lachko has dropped off the tail a little bit. Further back, Ryan Smith in 88, still all over Andre Kursim. Oh, he's got bodywork missing. He got too close. The 88 truck, its left wheel arch bodywork is flapping around. Yes, and it's dropped. You can see how it's dropped by about 5 centimetres. Will that fall off and go under the front of the truck, or is it still attached enough in the middle? But even so, disregarding that, Gerd Korber's going to have to try and defend position. They're tucked in behind now, but they were almost level past the pits. And in fact, going around the outside is David Vasecki. Got his nose, and he does have a nose, on the 33 Freightliner. Got his nose ahead of Ryan Smith, but had to drop in behind because turn 1, the line was held by 88. 27 is being obstructed by 14. Jose Rodriguez is doing his all to stay in front. But look at Ryan Smith up the inside. That was a classic manoeuvre, because 27, Gerd Korber, was so distracted because suddenly he had Jose Rodriguez in his path and was trying to make a move that Ryan Smith said, "Thank you, damaged bodywork or not, I'm past you." And certainly in terms of speed, he looks that little bit quicker. Don't quite know why Jose Rodriguez, even though his last lap was his best, those behind just got so much closer. Must have made a slight mistake going out of turn 1. Because as you can see, Ryan Smith in 88 is now right on the tail of the Portuguese racer and pushing wide. Warning on screen, drive down towards the tail of the field. In fact, he is the tail of the field. French racer Dominique Orsini warned for exceeding track limits. Some of these drivers might need to be warned for exceeding enthusiasm. Certainly Ryan Smith is on. We look for a charge. He's going to get most of his truck back. Hopefully it's just a balance. They've got a spare one and they can clip a new one off the next race. You can see on the 88 truck how it's fallen down. And this, I can't quite see if it's dragging, but if it's not on the circuit, it's very close indeed. Sasha Lenz won't have time to look in his rearview mirrors, but if he does, you'll see that the truck behind is so followed by the truck behind, so to speak. And now the bodywork is starting to fall down. It doesn't appear to be delaying Ryan Smith too much, but it must. That is now touching the circuit at various points. That was one contact followed by another. Down's come that front balance. I know it's early in a meeting where you've got 4 rounds to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, but it came here with a tidy lead for Adam Lechko, but hometown hero Norbert Kies leading the way now by 4.3 seconds over Jochen Hahn. If he manages to keep that position with Lechko back in 5th place, then it will reduce Lechko's advantage to 31. It would have been a very, very good start to this meeting for Norbert Kies on home ground. The big question right now, doesn't look as though anyone can topple Kies. The big question is, can Shane Brereton hold off Adam Lechko and Antonio Albacete to take that 4th place? Something that would really, really help the championship challenge for Norbert Kies. And can the front end stay on the truck? Truck number 88 of Ryan Smith. We're seeing it's getting more and more battered and tattered. There is that battle for 4th place. Still the 17-man of Shane Brereton ahead of Adam Lechko. Haven't seen him for a while, but here's our race leader. That's Norbert Kies, 4.3 seconds clear. He set the fastest lap of the race, but the pace is now dropping away a little bit, as it is for all of them. They've gone through the sweetest points on their tyres, but this one is a stroke it home. Look, a very tidy, smooth run for Adam Kies. He's not so spectacular in this truck. Some of the other drivers throw it about a bit more, but smooth is probably the best way to be. You've got the horsepower, you've got the torque to drag you out of problem, but smooth, keeping the momentum is what it's all about. And it's almost a whole truck, but not quite. That's 88. That's Ryan Smith up the inside of Jose Rodriguez. Oh, they try to come up. I think he's done enough to just close the door. Yes, the 88 stays behind. Man versus man. 14 ahead of 88. Hugely entertaining. More and more bits of bodywork and stuff that's fallen off trucks on earlier laps getting kicked up. Let's hope there are no shards that do any damage. The tail of 27, Gerd Korber swung round there, who's just got David Vasecki now ahead of him. So Vasecki striking back, just trying to see if there's any damage on the back of Korber's truck that has caused him to lose a bit of ground. And that's 42 getting in on the mix as well. That's Andre Kursin. So this run from about 8th place back is absolutely nip and tuck. You're jinking this way, jinking that way, but the thing is, Jose Rodriguez, who's not the fastest of that group, that's absolutely clear, because the rest of Corsin is doing what he has to do to stay in front. Getting close is one thing, getting past quite another. Gap between 1st and 2nd, it goes out again by nearly a second on that lap. Norbert Kies, no wonder the volume has gone up, the trumpets being blown, the klaxons being sounded for the race leader on home ground. Norbert Kies leading the way, 5.2 seconds now. Hahn, Steffi Harm in 3rd. Still Shane Brereton in 4th, in at number 14. Sorry, 14 is Jose Rodriguez. Shane Brereton's in 17, but now Ryan Smith is seemingly dropping back a little bit off the tail of Jose Rodriguez. Here is that battle for 4th place. It's still Shane Brereton. Adam Lechko tucked in behind. Antonio Albacete hasn't got the performance to try and pass either of them. He's just going to be tucked in behind. And should they clash, he'll be there to pick up the pieces. Of that, you can be sure for the Spanish racer. There are first 3 down into the dip. Steffi Harm gained very slightly, took a 5th of a second off Jochen Hahn last time around. Is this the move that works? Does it work? He's side by side. He's on the outside of the circuit, going through turn 3. No, it's 14 still in front. Jose Rodriguez, not when you say front, there's not much of a front on the 88 truck. It's dragged on the track, bits of it are falling off. The whole thing could come off at any moment. And certainly going through a pall of dust in front of them. Those behind, well, they've probably seen most of his front bodywork coming past in various bits and pieces. Looks like another bit of contact there from Ryan Smith. Rubber ain't racing, they say in certain circles, but that hasn't been into the ears of Ryan Smith. Turn 6 and 7. Tucks in behind. Tail really starting to come out on Rodriguez's truck. A far better exit from turn 7 from Smith, but the track, it's a case of diminishing returns at that point. You just don't have enough space for 2 cars, let alone 2 trucks to overtake on the exit of the 6 and 7 chicane. Those behind in for the ride and enjoying the view very much indeed. Sasha Lenz just going out of shot, about the only driver on the circuit, not really in a big tight battle. The other one is Norbert Kies, who's 5.2 seconds clear. There he is, coming around to complete his 9th lap, which would leave him 2 to go. Here go the horns, here go the klaxons. Here comes the applause down the start-finish straight. The Tank Pool 24 Racing Mercedes Roaring just has it all under control. His last lap was the best of anyone for quite some while. It's 6.4 seconds. He gained just over another second. Jochen Hahn knows he can't challenge. He's just going to have to settle for second place. Steffi Hahn, another 3.8 seconds behind Hahn. So 10 seconds cover the top three trucks. 10 centimetres cover the next batch. And it looks out of turn 14. The move has finally paid off. The patience, the charge, the rubbing, the pushing. And Ryan Smith, well, they get the horns going for him as well. They're appreciating this drive of a driver in most of a truck as he goes around. But has he fast enough down the start-finish straight? Looks like a challenge coming up from behind. Is that Gerd Körber trying to make a move up the inside? Rodriguez got his nose in front when they get down to turn one, but you don't want to be on the outside. And is there going to be a change of place behind? It looks so there is. Looks so Körber is going to get up ahead. Is he 27? Well, he'll be on the wrong position as they go into turn two. His nose is ahead, but will he be able to turn it? One thing for sure is the position has been gained by Ryan Smith. Now, going wide into turn two might get your nose ahead, but where are you when you come out of the corner? Well, the simple answer is ahead. So for 14, Jose Rodriguez rather monstered out of it, pulls back across in front of David Vasecki. So good move there from Gerd Körber. So he's gained a position or two. So Smith's charge continues. Super close. The racing as though this is the one race they have all weekend. They've got another one later this afternoon and two more tomorrow. No problems at all for race leader Norbert Kisch. Leading the race 6.4 seconds, but in behind some fantastic scraps. Here's the one for fourth place. Shane Brereton batting way above his strength, putting in the best ever performance from him in the European Truck Racing Championship, holding on to fourth place. So we've been running down this, listed as 10 out of 11, but it is the last lap. It's a half-hour race, and it's a question of how close you get. So coming up to turn 14 for the final time. Hopefully the people in the grandstands... No, there is one more. So we just squeaked it in. They had to do the math, so the fans will get one more lap at full racing speed of Norbert Kisch. Yes, they're enjoying it. 6.4 seconds clear last time around. He can afford to back off a little bit. He is so far cleared. Crowd absolutely screaming their enjoyment. I can hear them through the treble glazed window of the commentary box. This battle deserves some applause too, because not only is Shane Brereton he's not an enemy, but he's the championship leader, and he's challenging their man Norbert Kisch, so they'll be delighted if Norbert can carry on to win and Adam Lechko fails to get past Shane Brereton. You can be partisan from time to time. This, of course, is the home race for our race leader Norbert Kisch. Looks though Steffi Hahn is starting to close in a tiny bit on Jochen Hahn for second and third. 44 there is Steffi. Here's that battle for fourth place onto the final lap into turn 2 out of 14. It's still Shane Brereton, and you really feel if Adam Lechko was going to get back in front and try and not lose any points in his championship push, he'd have managed to do it by now. Not really much point in taking many risks around this lap. 3 more races. There's no point Lechko throwing the truck off, trying to get past Shane Brereton. So you feel that Shane in the 17 will stay ahead. Antonio Albacete has been in 6th place for a long time. The red and white truck, the 3rd in this grouping. There is our race leader up around the twists on the far side of the valley. Norbert Kisch on home ground, looking as though he can pretty much take the cap off his pen and write in that he's taken his 3rd win of the season. There he is in his Mercedes. Tank Pool 24 Racing. Silver and red Mercedes. There, turn 11. That's 2/3 of the lap completed. His lead at the start of the lap, 6.7 seconds. His lead at the end, it doesn't matter if it comes down. It's the points he's going to pick up for victory that will be absolutely crucial for his championship push. The grunt of the engine under acceleration, the chirping of the tyres and the brakes under heavy deceleration, which is obviously what you need for these heavy 5 and a bit ton racers. Round the final corner for the last time in this, the first of 4 races for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. The checkered flag is waved, the horns, absolute cacophony in the main grandstand. Norbert Kisch takes the victory. Looks like Jochen Hahn will be taking 2nd place. And he does just that with Steffi Hahn in 3rd after the first corner That was how the positions were. It was where it happened behind them. Brilliant start, 6th up to 4th place for Shane Brereton, and he's just taken the checkered flag for 4th place. So what a finish for the British driver. And another driver we're watching in the thick of the battle. Here's that charge for 7th place. Sasha Lenz just holds on from Ryan Smith, who probably has to take the prize for the most entertaining driver in the race. He and what we call most of his truck, which is what he managed to bring to the finish. So there we have it, half our race. How much more action could you pile into it? So Kish took the victory. 2nd place, Jochen Hahn, 3rd place, Steffi Hahn, which is how they started, but the driver who made the big gains was up to 4th place, Shane Brereton. 6th to 4th, Adam Lechko had that awful first lap. He ended up in 5th, but he had fallen further down the order. And Ryan Smith, actually, has just been 10-second penalty for truck number 17. So Ryan Smith goes up. So that means Shane Brereton has lost that 4th place. So clearly his good start was a jump start. And that is why the order has changed. But looking at the highlights, you can see there, that's where Adam Lechko got pushed wide. He got pushed far wider off the circuit on the right-hand side of your screen. Antonio Albacete it was who gave him a bit more of a push. Very big grass track moment. Massive save from Adam Lechko in the 55 Freightliner. And then he was running around behind Shane Brereton, who nearly went off at turn 2. That was about 2/3 the way through the race. It looks like his tyres might have been finished, and now was the chance for Adam Lechko to attack. Shane Brereton held him off all the way to the finish, but 10-second penalty for overspeeding. And truck number 91 has also picked one of those up. That's Frankie down towards the rear. But the bodywork started getting damaged on the nose of the 88 Ryan Smith truck. There, it's looking pretty good. It started to drop. Up the inside of Gerd Korber he goes, but further contact led to diminishing body parts on the nose of the 88 man. Here's a bit more damage coming its way as he gives Jose Rodriguez a bit of a push. Rodriguez getting out of shape there through the 6 and 7 flick, the far side of the circuit, but not as out of shape as the bodywork on the front of Ryan Smith's truck. Gerd Korber tucked in beneath. Another driver sporting bodywork damage, 33 Freightliner of David Vasecki, but eventually patience paid off, and up the inside through the final corner, turn 14, pushing Jose Rodriguez wide. Through goes Ryan Smith, but through at the end of the race after 11 laps, 11 out of 11, and it was Norbert Kish winning by 7.5 seconds ahead of Jochen Hahn, and tucked in behind in 3rd place, Steffi Hahn. Adam Lechko got promoted at the end by demotion, a 10-second demotion of Shane Brereton. Sasha Lenz up to 5th, Ryan Smith to 6th, Gerd Korber and David Vasecki. Half a minute or so covering the top 8 runners, and ruining that 10-second penalty. Shane Brereton fell from 4th on the circuit down to 10th place overall. Shows just how close it is. So very, very difficult. But hats off to the driver who won the race this afternoon, the first of the 2 races of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Norbert Kish sent the crowd absolutely crazy, and you can be sure he's being waved at by the marshals as he goes around his slowing down lap. But when he comes back in to the podium, there's number 19, didn't have the best of races, Dominic Orsini. He was at the tail of the field and stayed there throughout, but Norbert Kish started on pole, stayed there throughout. So for the fans in the grandstand, that was the result they were looking for. Adam Lechko will be delighted that the truck in front was given that 10-second penalty. Sasha Lenz also probably pleased. He went from 8th up to 5th. Ryan Smith right from down towards the tail of the field from 14th place on the grid up to the points for 6th. So he'll be relieved that he's worked his way forward. Gerd Korber 7th. 8th, David Vasecki. We saw that 33 truck, the Freightliner with the bodywork damage. And Antonio Albacete, what I didn't notice what happened to him towards the end, he was running down 6th. Maybe he picked up a penalty because he has dropped down. Yes, that's the other person who went down. He went down to 11th place. So lots of honking out on the circuit and all around the circuit. So let's see a smile on the face of Norbert Kish as he's welcomed out. He'll be pretty warm. He's got to do it all over again, but you know what? He's going to love doing it all over again if he can have a run as good as that. 7.5 seconds clear at the end of 11 laps of racing. And the driver who finishes in 8th place the grid is reversed for the top 8, will get pole position at the end of the race. That would have been Ryan Smith, who'd had that charge from the back. But with the penalties for Albacete and Shane Brereton, it's David Versecki in the number 33, the truck that was sporting damage from early in the race, who will start on pole for the second race this afternoon. And that means Norbert Kish will be starting from 8. Oh boy. If they were that exciting when they ran in grid order, what they're going to be like with the top 8 reverse, they're going to have to do overtaking. Caution will have to be thrown to the wind. With 24, Norbert Kish, for now, he's very happy indeed because he gave the fans what they were looking for. Victory in the first of 4 races for the FAA European Truck Racing Championship. Here, any win is good. He took 2 in the Slovakia ring, but they're worth half to him what 1 win, this win, is here on his home circuit at the Hungaroring. You can see lots of applause down there, waiting to see him reveal when he takes his helmet off, what I'm sure will be a very, very happy face. So I'll see if I can get to the foot of why Antonio Albacete lost ground. Was it on the track that I didn't notice on the final lap, or was the indeed a penalty for him? None listed on the screens as yet. Jochen Hahn looking cool, calm and collected and largely unmolested at the end of the race, as he was during the race. It's Norbert Kish drawing all the attention, but a kiss and a drink for Jochen. He's been there, seen it, done it. So many successes in the European Truck Racing Championship for him. Last year's champion. This year Jochen picked up a couple of wins at the Red Bull round, one at the following round in Misano, but hasn't won since. But he's there or thereabouts. And now finally released from a black helmet, the black-suited driver on a very hot day. He'll be better out of the helmet. Is Norbert Kish. He's trying to find his way past the throng of photographers. He's going to do a bit of Elio Castroneves fence climbing there from the IndyCar world, but he's happy with a glance through the pit wall and a wave to the crowd, and the crowd really thoroughly appreciates that. So high fives, handshakes all round, kisses too, but he'll be going up to the podium and hoping to do the same all over again later this afternoon. Second race for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship starts at 5:20, and again it's another half-hour bonanza. So waiting for the drivers to go up towards the podium, which, as you can see, just going out of the left-hand side of your screen, is up a staircase. So let's look at the results one more time. 7.5 seconds between first and second. That's Norbert Kish, the man drawing all the applause, and the cool, unflappable Jochen Hahn in second place. Steffi Hahn could do nothing about them. She stayed close. For one moment, looked as though Shane Brereton would start catching her, but then he had traffic behind him, pushing hard, most notably Adam Lachko. But Brereton not in the top 10, fell down to 10th place. Well, he is, but he not on the front screen. He fell down to 10th place with a 10-second penalty for overspeeding. I'm not entirely sure what that means, because, of course, there weren't pit stops. Sasha Lenz gained 2 places, with Antonio Albacete also being demoted. And Ryan Smith came from 14th up to what proved to be an eventual 6th place. Could be a dark horse for the next race. Gerd Kurber and David Versecki completing the top 8 in this race. Action the whole way down the field. Andre Kirsten got elbowed back a bit, but ended up in 9th place. And Shane Brereton, with that 10-second penalty, back down to 10th place overall. Antonio Albacete, who came home in 6th place on the track, just one and a bit seconds behind him, also getting shoved down the order. Frankie in 91 in 12th. Jose Rodriguez lost a bit of ground. Maybe he got penalised as well on that final lap, just ahead of his father, Eduardo. And Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort and Dominic Orsini bringing up the rear. 16 starters and 16 finishers, but all the applause to Norbert Kish, the hometown hero, on his home circuit here in Hungary. The Hungaroring, 3 more races to come, 1 today and 2 tomorrow for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. A chance for the drivers and to get a bit cooler, the people in the grandstand to perhaps go and nip into the paddock, but they don't have much time because it's a packed schedule here at the Hungaroring. And the next thing out onto the circuit, very soon indeed, will be the Blancpain GT Sports Club going out for their qualifying. 14:45 to 15:05, and then at 15:50, the Blancpain GT Sprint Cup has the first of its 2 races. Its qualifying race and the main race on the Sunday. So conditions Absolutely fantastic here at the Hungaroring. The first of the truck races out of the way. The result that the crowd wanted was victory for Norbert Kies, and the result they got was indeed victory for Norbert Kies. So while we wait for the podium, it's time to go away. We'll be back very soon with some more racing.